I was working the night shift as a janitor at the Grand Theater when I met a 9-year-old blind girl who would change my life. Her name was Mary, and she'd sneak onto the stage after hours to touch the piano keys. Tentative, curious, like she was trying to unlock a secret. I should have sent her away. That was the rule. But something about the way she listened, really listened, to the sounds she made stopped me. So instead, I taught her to play. For 4 months, we met twice a week in an empty theater, and I poured everything I'd lost into teaching her everything I knew. I never asked about her family, never wondered why a little blind girl was alone in a theater at 11 p.m., and I had absolutely no idea who her mother was. When I found out, everything changed. Before we dive in, have you ever helped someone without expecting anything in return, only to discover that kindness came back to you in ways you never imagined? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and if you love stories about unexpected connections, the power of music, and discovering that sometimes our greatest losses lead to our greatest purposes, please subscribe so you don't miss our next one. Now let me tell you about Mary. 3 years before I met Mary, I was a different person. I was a concert pianist. Not famous, not yet, but on my way. I'd studied at Berklee, performed with regional orchestras, won a few competitions, recorded an album that got modest attention. I was 33 and finally building the career I dreamed about since I was 7 years old. I was also married to a woman named Jennifer, and we had a son, Lucas, who was 4 years old and obsessed with astronauts and thought his dad was the coolest person in the world because I could make music appear out of nowhere. Life was good. Money was tight. Jennifer and I argued about my travel schedule. I was always chasing the next gig, but a good life. I was doing what I loved. I had a family. I had a future. Then, on a Tuesday night in October, driving home from a performance in Memphis, a semi-truck crossed the center line on I-40. I don't remember the impact. Don't remember the sound of metal crushing or glass shattering or my own screaming. I remember playing Rachmaninoff earlier that evening. I remember thinking about Lucas's upcoming birthday. And then I remember waking up in a hospital room 3 days later with my right hand wrapped in bandages and a surgeon telling me I was lucky to be alive. My hand wasn't lucky. The accident had crushed 3 fingers, shattered bones, severed tendons. They put me back together as best they could. 6 surgeries over 8 months. But the damage was permanent. My fingers worked, technically. I could hold things right, button my shirt, but the fine motor control, the speed, the precision required for professional piano. Gone. I tried. God knows I tried. Physical therapy, adaptive techniques, endless hours of practice trying to relearn what my body refused to remember. But my right hand was stiff, clumsy, unreliable. I could play simple pieces slowly. But Rachmaninoff, Chopin, Liszt, the repertoire I'd spent 20 years mastering? Impossible. My career ended. Not dramatically. No final performance, no announcement. It just stopped. Gigs dried up. Calls stopped coming. The album I'd been planning to record never happened. Within a year, I went from rising pianist to has-been, and Jennifer left. I don't blame her. I was depressed, angry, impossible to live with. The man she'd married had disappeared, replaced by someone bitter and broken. We tried counseling, tried separating. Eventually, we just ended. She moved to Atlanta with her sister. I got Lucas on weekends and summers, and I tried to pretend my heart wasn't shattered alongside my hand. I needed work, needed to pay child support, rent, physical therapy bills. But I was a 34-year-old former pianist with no other skills and medical debt that made me uninsurable for most jobs. Someone told me the Grand Theater was hiring custodial staff, night shift, decent pay, benefits. I took the job. So 3 years after the accident, I was mopping floors in the same theater where I'd once performed, cleaning bathrooms, emptying trash, polishing brass railings, going in at 10 p.m., working until 6 a.m., sleeping fitfully during the day, picking up Lucas every other Friday and trying to be the father he deserved, even though I felt like a ghost of myself. That was my life. Quiet, small, defined by loss. Until I met Mary. It was a Thursday night in late September, around 11 p.m. I was cleaning the main auditorium, vacuuming rows, wiping down armrests, when I heard something from the stage. Piano notes, hesitant, random, like someone experimenting. I stopped the vacuum, listened. Another note, then a chord, unintentional probably, but perfect. I walked down the aisle toward the stage. The house lights were off, but the ghost light, the single bulb left on stage when the theater is empty, cast long shadows. At the piano sat a small girl, maybe 9 or 10 years old, dark hair in a braid. She was feeling the keys carefully, pressing them one at a time, listening to each note fade before trying the next. "Hey," I said, not wanting to startle her. "You're not supposed to be here." She turned toward my voice, but didn't make eye contact. Her eyes didn't track my movement. That's when I realized she was blind. "I'm sorry," she said quickly. "I know I shouldn't touch it. I wanted to hear what it sounds like. I'll leave." She stood up, reaching for something. A cane, I realized, leaning against the piano bench. "Wait," I said. "How did you get in here?" "My mom works here. I come with her sometimes. She thinks I'm reading in the green room, but I snuck out. I'm sorry. Please don't tell her. I should have walked her back to wherever her mother was. Should have called security or management. That was protocol. No unauthorized people in the theater after hours, especially not children." But something stopped me. Maybe it was the careful way she'd touched the keys. Maybe it was the longing in her voice when she said she wanted to hear what it sounded like. Maybe it was because I understood exactly what it felt like to want something you couldn't have. "What's your name?" I asked. "Mary. I'm Charlie. I work here. I clean the theater at night. Are you going to tell my mom?" I looked at her, this small blind girl who'd risked getting in trouble just to touch a piano, and made a decision that would change both our lives. "Tell you what, Mary, if you promise not to sneak around by yourself, it's not safe. I won't tell your mom. But you have to come find me first if you want to be on the stage. Deal? Really? Really? And Mary, do you want to learn how to play?" Her face lit up. "You know how to play piano?" "A little bit." The understatement of the century. "I could teach you some things." "If you want?" "Yes, please. I've always wanted to learn, but I never thought—" She stopped, overwhelmed. "You'd really teach me?" "Yeah, I would. But you have to promise me. No sneaking around. And you have to ask your mom if it's okay. She won't mind. She's always busy anyway. That should have been a red flag." But I didn't press it. Instead, I sat down at the piano bench. "Come here. Let's start with middle C." For the next week, I watched for Mary. Wondered if she'd come back. Wondered if I'd imagined the whole thing. Then, the following Thursday around the same time, I heard footsteps on the stage. "Charlie, are you here?" I came out of the wings where I'd been coiling cables. Mary stood center stage, cane in hand, turning her head slightly as she tried to locate me. "I'm here," I said. "You came back?" I asked my mom. She said it's okay if I stay on the stage while she works, as long as someone's watching me. So, can we do a lesson? Absolutely. Let's get started. Over the next 4 months, Mary and I met twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. After the theater closed, I'd finish the most urgent cleaning tasks, then spend an hour teaching Mary to play. We started with basics. Hand position. How to find middle C by counting keys. Simple scales. She learned by touch and sound. I'd play a note, she'd find it, I'd guide her fingers to the right position. She was a fast learner, faster than any student I'd ever taught. Within 2 weeks, she could play a C major scale with both hands. Within a month, she was playing simple melodies. Mary Had a Little Lamb, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, the kinds of songs I'd learned when I was 5. But Mary was 9, and she wasn't just learning, she was absorbing. She had perfect pitch, the way some blind children do. I'd play a note anywhere on the keyboard and she'd identify it instantly. D sharp, F natural, B flat, how do you do that? I asked after she correctly identified 8 random notes in a row. "I don't know, I just hear it. Every note has a color in my head. Even though I can't see colors, I know what they sound like. Does that make sense?" "Yes, it does." Teaching Mary reminded me why I'd fallen in love with music in the first place. It wasn't about performing for crowds or winning competitions or building a career. It was about the pure joy of sound, the way a simple chord progression could create emotion out of nothing, the magic of turning silence into something beautiful. Mary felt all of that. She'd play a major chord and smile, play a minor chord and tilt her head thoughtfully. "That one sounds like rain," she'd say. Or, "That one sounds like missing someone." She was right every time. I never asked much about Mary's life. I knew she was 9. I knew her mom worked at the theater. I assumed in the box office or maybe backstage crew. I knew Mary was homeschooled because regular school hadn't worked out. She didn't elaborate and I didn't push. but mostly, we talked about music. "Why did you become a janitor if you know so much about piano?" she asked one night. I'd been avoiding that question. "I used to play professionally, but I had an accident. Hurt my hand. Can't play the way I used to. Can you show me what you used to play?" I hesitated. I hadn't played anything complex in 3 years. Hadn't wanted to face the reality of what I'd lost. But Mary asked with such genuine curiosity that I couldn't refuse. I sat at the piano, positioned my hands, and played the opening of Clair de Lune, Debussy, beautiful and melancholy, and one of my favorite pieces. My right hand stumbled, missed notes, lost timing. The piece that I'd once played flawlessly now sounded broken, halting, wrong. I stopped halfway through. "That's why I'm a janitor." "It sounded beautiful," Mary said. "You're being kind." "It was terrible." "No, it wasn't. It was sad." "But sad can be beautiful, too." I looked at her, this 9-year-old blind girl who somehow understood what most people never did. "Thank you, Mary. Will you finish it? I want to hear how it ends." So I played it again, slowly, carefully, letting my broken hand do what it could. And when I finished, Mary applauded. "That's what I want to play someday," she said. "Something that makes people feel what you just made me feel. You will. I promise." 3 months into our lessons, Mary played her first real piece. For Elise, Beethoven, simplified arrangement, but recognizable. She played it from memory after I demonstrated it twice. Perfect tempo, perfect expression, perfect everything. I sat there stunned. "Mary, that was incredible." "Really?" "Really. You're not just good, you're exceptional. You have a gift. My mom says everyone's good at something. She says I'm good at listening. You're good at a lot more than listening. Mary, have you ever thought about studying music seriously? With a real teacher?" "You're a real teacher. I mean someone with credentials. Someone who could help you develop this talent properly." She was quiet for a moment. "My mom can't afford that. She works really hard, but lessons are expensive. That's why this—" She gestured toward the piano, toward me. "This is so special. You're giving me something we could never pay for." My throat tightened. "You don't have to pay me. Teaching you it's a gift for me, too. You remind me why I loved music. Before everything else got in the way, then we're even." I should have asked more questions, like why Mary's mother never came to pick her up. Mary always said, "She'll come get me when she's done working." But I never saw her. Should have thought it was strange that a 9-year-old was essentially unsupervised in a theater late at night. But I was too focused on the music, on the joy of teaching someone who loved learning, on the hour twice a week when I felt like myself again. Until the night, everything changed. It was a Tuesday in mid-January. Mary and I had just finished a lesson. She was working on a Mozart sonata now, simplified but still challenging. She'd played it beautifully. We were talking about what to work on next when I heard footsteps, fast, purposeful. Coming toward the stage. "Mary Elizabeth Gardner, where are you?" A woman's voice. Angry, worried. Mary's head snapped toward the sound. "That's my mom." A woman appeared at the edge of the stage. Mid-30s, dark hair like Mary's, elegant even in jeans and a sweater. She looked terrified. "Mary, I've been looking everywhere for you. You were supposed to stay in the green room. I thought—" She stopped when she saw me. "Who are you?" I stood up. "I'm Charlie. I work here. Charlie Bowers. I'm a janitor." "And what exactly are you doing with my daughter?" "He's teaching me piano, Mom," Mary said excitedly. "Twice a week. He's amazing. Listen." She started playing the Mozart piece. The woman stared at Mary, then at me, then back at Mary. Her expression shifted from fear to confusion to something I couldn't read. When Mary finished playing, there was silence. "Where did you learn to play like that?" the woman asked quietly. "Charlie taught me. Over the last 4 months, Mom, he's the best teacher. He used to be a real pianist before he got hurt, and he knows everything about music and—" 4 months? The woman looked at me sharply. "You've been teaching my daughter for 4 months and I didn't know?" "I'm sorry," I said quickly. "I should have introduced myself. I thought you knew. Mary said she asked permission to stay on the stage while you worked. I gave her permission to sit quietly and read. Not to take piano lessons from a stranger." "Mom, he's not a stranger. He's Charlie, and he's—" "Mary, please go wait in the green room. I need to talk to Charlie alone. But, now, please." Mary, sensing the tension, carefully stood and found her cane. "It's okay, Charlie. My mom's not really mad. She just worries. After Mary left, the woman turned to me. Her arms were crossed, but her expression had softened slightly. "I'm sorry for the hostility," she said. "But you have to understand, my daughter is blind, and I come out to find her with a man I've never met, and I completely understand. I should have made sure you knew. I made an assumption, and that was wrong. Why did you do this? Teach her because she wanted to learn, and because she's incredibly talented, and because—" I stopped, not sure how to explain. "Because teaching her reminded me why I loved music in the first place." The woman studied me for a long moment. "Mary mentioned you used to be a pianist. What happened?" "The car accident. 3 years ago. Injured my right hand. Can't play professionally anymore." "I'm sorry. It's okay." "I'm okay. But ma'am, your daughter has a genuine gift. Perfect pitch, incredible musical memory, natural expression. She could be extraordinary with proper training." "Proper training costs money we don't have?" "I'm not asking for money. I'm just telling you, she's special." The woman sighed. "I know she is, and I appreciate what you've done. Really. But I need to think about this. I don't know you, and, of course, I understand completely. If you don't want me teaching her anymore, I respect that." She looked toward where Mary had gone, then back at me. "Let me think about it. And Mr. Bowers, thank you for being kind to my daughter and seeing her talent. That means more than you know." She left, and I stood alone on the empty stage wondering if I'd just lost the best part of my week. 2 days passed. Mary didn't come on Thursday. I tried not to feel disappointed, but I did. I'd gotten used to our lessons, used to Mary's laugh when she finally nailed a difficult passage, used to feeling like I had purpose again. Then on Saturday morning, my phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello? Mr. Bowers? This is Catherine Gardner, Mary's mother. We met earlier this week." "Yes, of course." "Is everything all right?" "Everything's fine. I was wondering, could we meet?" "For coffee?" "I'd like to talk to you about Mary, and about continuing the lessons, if you're still willing." We met at a coffee shop near the theater. Catherine arrived exactly on time, looking both nervous and determined. "Thank you for meeting me," she said as we sat down. "Of course, I need to apologize. I was harsh the other night. Protective mother instinct. But I asked around about you. Talked to James, the theater manager. He says you're reliable, trustworthy, that you've worked there for 3 years without any issues." "I appreciate that. And I did some research. Charlie Bowers, you performed with the Louisville Orchestra in 2018. You won the Southeast Regional Piano Competition in 2019. I stared at her. "You looked me up?" "My daughter is taking piano lessons from you." "Of course I looked you up. And Mr. Bowers, Charlie, I had no idea who you were. Mary said you were a janitor who used to play, but I didn't realize." She stopped. "You were a real pianist. A good one," was being the operative word. "Still, what you've done for Mary, teaching her for free, for 4 months, without expecting anything, that's extraordinary. She's an extraordinary student." Catherine smiled. "She is. And she talked about you constantly this last week. Charlie says this. Charlie taught me that. You've made an impact on her. So I'm here to ask, would you be willing to continue teaching her? Officially? With my full knowledge and permission?" "Absolutely. I can't pay you much. But I can pay you something." "I don't want money. Teaching Mary isn't work. It's the best part of my week. When Mary was younger, when we first realized she was blind, I spent everything trying to fix it." "Fix it?" "Specialists, experimental treatments, surgeries that might restore partial vision. We tried everything." She looked down at her hands. "My husband and I, before he died, we were so desperate to give her sight that we didn't stop to think maybe she didn't need fixing. We just needed to help her thrive as she was. I'm sorry. We went into debt, serious debt. Medical bills that insurance wouldn't cover because the treatments were experimental. And when David died, my husband, he left more medical debt from his own illness. So yes, I'm the principal soprano. But after rent, after debt payments, after everything Mary needs, specialized technology, braille materials, occupational therapy, there's not much left. Piano lessons from a qualified teacher who specializes in blind students, $150 an hour minimum. I couldn't afford it. Couldn't justify it when we were barely making it month to month. You don't need to worry about the lessons. I'm doing it because I want to. 3 years ago, I lost everything that mattered to me. My career? My marriage? My sense of self. I became a janitor at a theater where I used to perform, and every night I cleaned up after shows I'd never be part of again. I was surviving, but I wasn't living. And then I met Mary, and for the first time in 3 years, I remembered who I used to be. Not the performer, the person who loved music. Teaching her gave me that back. So really, I should be thanking you. Catherine wiped her eyes. I think we can help each other. I work long hours, and Mary needs supervision. If you're willing to give her lessons twice a week, I'd be grateful. And Charlie, Mary's right. You are an amazing teacher. Thank you. That means a lot. There's one more thing I should tell you. Catherine hesitated. You know where I work, but you don't know what I do. Mary said you work at the theater. I assumed box office or crew? I'm a performer. I'm the principal soprano. It took a second for that to register. Then I realized, Catherine Gardner. I'd seen her name on the marquee. Heard her sing from the wings while I cleaned. Catherine Gardner was one of the most talented opera singers in Nashville, and I'd been teaching her daughter without knowing who she was. I'm sorry, I said. I should have realized. Why would you? You see hundreds of names on programs, and I'm not famous outside this building. But Charlie, the point is, I understand what it's like to dedicate your life to music, and I see what you've given Mary. You've given her the thing I've always been too busy to give her. Time, attention, someone who believes in her, and I'm grateful. After that conversation, everything changed. Mary's lessons continued, still twice a week, still late at night after I finished my initial cleaning rounds. But now Catherine would occasionally watch from the wings. She'd sit quietly, listening to Mary play, sometimes wiping tears when Mary performed something particularly beautiful. One night, after Mary finished a Chopin prelude, simple one, but she played it with remarkable emotion, Catherine approached me. Charlie, can I ask you something? Of course. Have you considered teaching professionally again? Not just Mary, but other students? I don't have credentials for that. I never finished my teaching certificate, and honestly, I'm not sure I'm ready. You're teaching my daughter. She's progressed more in 6 months with you than most students do in 2 years with conventional teachers. That tells me you're absolutely ready. I appreciate that, but I have connections at the School of Music. They're always looking for good piano instructors. I could make an introduction. Catherine, I'm a janitor with an injured hand. Who's going to hire me? Someone who sees past the injury to the teacher underneath. Will you at least think about it? I did think about it, more than I wanted to admit. 7 months after I met Mary, she performed in public for the first time. There was a small recital at the theater, just family and friends of performers, maybe 30 people. Mary was nervous, practicing compulsively in the days leading up to it. What if I forget the notes? She asked me during our final practice session. You won't. You never do. What if people think I'm only good because I'm blind? Like they're clapping because they feel sorry for me? Mary, listen to me. You're not good because you're blind. You're good because you're talented and you work hard. Anyone who listens to you play will know that. I promise. The night of the recital, I stood backstage while Mary performed. She played 3 pieces, a Mozart sonata, a Chopin prelude, and an original composition she'd written herself with my help. She played flawlessly, every note perfect, every phrase shaped beautifully. And when she finished, the audience didn't just clap politely. They gave her a standing ovation. Mary came off stage beaming, and I hugged her. I'm so proud of you. I couldn't have done it without you, Charlie. Catherine appeared, also crying. That was beautiful, sweetheart. Your dad would have been so proud. I'd never heard Catherine mention Mary's father, assumed he was out of the picture, and I'd never felt it was my place to ask. But later, as I was packing up to leave, Catherine approached me. Thank you for everything you've done for her. Her father died when she was 2, and she doesn't remember him. But he loved music, played guitar. I think he would have loved seeing her tonight. I'm sorry. I didn't know. How could you? We don't talk about it much. You've done something important for Mary, Charlie. You've given her confidence. Purpose. A connection to music that I couldn't give her because I'm always performing instead of teaching. You've been more than a piano teacher. You've been a mentor, a friend, and I'll never be able to thank you enough. 2 months later, Catherine made good on her promise. She introduced me to the director of the School of Music, showed him recordings of Mary playing, vouched for my teaching. They offered me a position, part-time at first, teaching beginners and intermediate students. Not a lot of money, but enough to supplement my income. Enough to give me back a piece of my old identity. I kept my janitorial job, needed the benefits, the stability, but I started teaching 3 afternoons a week. And I discovered something. I was good at it. Really good. My students progressed quickly, loved their lessons, stuck with piano when others might have quit, because I taught them the same way I taught Mary. Music wasn't about perfection. It was about connection, expression, finding your voice through sound. A year and a half later, my life looked completely different. I was still a janitor, still had an injured hand that would never fully heal, still lived modestly, splitting custody of Lucas with my ex-wife, but I was also a teacher. I had 12 students now, ranging from age 6 to 60. I gave lessons 4 afternoons a week and piano workshops on weekends. I'd even started performing occasionally, not concerts, but small events where technical perfection mattered less than emotional honesty. And I still taught Mary twice a week. She was 11 now, preparing for her first formal competition. She'd progressed beyond anything I could have imagined, playing advanced Rachmaninoff, Beethoven, Brahms. She'd been accepted into a prestigious music program for blind youth. She had a future in music if she wanted it. Lucas had met Mary, and they'd become friends. He'd sit in on her lessons sometimes, drawing pictures while she played, asking her questions about being blind, treating her like any other kid, because she was. Catherine had become a friend, too. We'd grab coffee occasionally, talk about music and parenting and the strange ways life works out. She'd started dating someone, a cellist in the theater orchestra, and she seemed happy in a way she hadn't been when we first met. One night, after a lesson where Mary had absolutely nailed a Chopin ballad that had taken her months to master, she asked me something. "Charlie, are you happy?" It was such a direct question, such a Mary question. "Yeah," I said. "I am. Why do you ask?" "Because when I met you, you seemed sad, like you were trying to disappear. But now you seem like yourself, like you found something you lost." I did find something I lost. Several things, actually. And Mary, a lot of that is because of you. Because I'm such a good student? She grinned. Because I thought my career ending meant I was done with music. But teaching you showed me I was wrong. Music didn't leave me. It just changed form. I'm glad I met you, Charlie. I'm glad I met you too, kid. Now, 2 years after I found a blind girl sitting at a piano in an empty theater, I'm sitting in the audience at that same theater watching her perform. She's 11 years old. She's playing Rachmaninoff's Prelude in C minor, a piece that would challenge most adult pianists. And she's playing it from memory, with expression and technical skill that leaves the audience breathless. Catherine is sitting next to me, crying. Lucas is on my other side, watching in awe. Around us, 200 people have come to see the annual Young Artist Showcase, and Mary is the closing performer. She finishes to thunderous applause. She stands and bows, and I can see her smile from here. Pure joy, pure triumph. After the performance, we meet her backstage. She's surrounded by people congratulating her, but when she hears my voice, she turns. "Charlie, did you hear? Did I do okay? Mary, you were perfect. Better than perfect. I'm so proud of you. I dedicated it to you, in the program. For Charlie, who taught me that music is about feeling, not seeing." I'm not ashamed to admit I cried. People sometimes ask me how I ended up here, how a concert pianist became a janitor, then became a teacher, then became whatever I am now. A patchwork career, cobbled together from broken pieces. And I tell them about Mary, about a 9-year-old blind girl who I found touching piano keys in an empty theater, about how I taught her to play, and she taught me how to live again. I tell them that losing my career was the worst thing that ever happened to me, but meeting Mary was one of the best. I'm not the pianist I used to be. My hand will never fully heal, but I'm a teacher, a mentor, someone who gets to watch students discover the magic of music, someone who helps kids find their voice, their confidence, their purpose. And honestly, that's better than anything I lost. Last week, Mary asked me if I'd be her teacher through high school. Of course, I said. As long as you want me. Forever then, she said. Because I'm never not going to want you as my teacher. Catherine, overhearing this, smiled at me. You've changed our lives, Charlie. You know that, right? You've changed mine too. And it's true. A blind girl and her opera singer mother didn't just give me back music. They gave me back meaning, connection, hope. They gave me back myself. Have you ever had someone come into your life unexpectedly and change everything? Share your story in the comments below. If this story about unexpected connections, second chances, and discovering purpose through helping others touched your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe for more meaningful stories every day. Don't forget to click the notification bell so you never miss our next inspiring tale. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.